Hey YouTube, Midwest American Dad stuff here again. It's about that time of year where people are starting to be outside a lot more up here in the Midwest. They're going to start having get-togethers and cookouts and stuff. And people are looking around at stores and they're seeing propane grills and charcoal grills. Maybe they're looking to upgrade, get a new one, or it's their first time buying one. So I just want to make a quick video and give some pros and cons and personal experience on these kinds of things. My brother actually brought this subject up and he was asking me some questions, and I thought it'd be a good idea to put some information out there and go over what I like about each one, what I dislike about each one. So if you like the video and you find it informative, or you just enjoy watching, be sure to like the video, subscribe, comment. I'll be answering any questions or talking to people in the comments. Now for this video, we're talking strictly about grills. We're not talking about smokers, dedicated like offset smokers or vertical smokers or anything like that. Because there's propane ones of those, and there's strictly, like wood-fired ones. But both of them require wood in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, this is strictly grills, like anything you would find in, a typical Midwest backyard. They both have their pros and cons. However, I'll be upfront about it. I'm biased towards charcoal and wood-fired. But I do have both. I have a propane grill, and I got a charcoal wood burning grill also, and I like both of them. But I just like the charcoal wood fired one more. I tend to use it more. I think it's a little bit better for my style of cooking. So right now they're kind of priced about the same between propane and charcoal. You can find similar units, similar in size and stuff like that for about the same price right now. But let's get into the pros and cons of each of them here. So we'll start off with charcoal first. In my opinion, I think charcoal is a little bit more versatile. You can cook a lot of different ways on it. You can use it for grilling. You can use it for smoking. I know people that have just had those little kettle grills, black ones with the 3 legs on them. They've gone to local competitions and they've won their local barbecue competitions with them. So you can grill with those. You can use them as smokers. They're really good for getting a good sear on steaks and burgers and things like that. You can also reverse sear on them, which is where you cook the meat low and slow for a certain amount of time, with some smoke, and then you sear it real quick. It kind of gives it a little bit of extra flavor, and I think it turns out way better. You can also cook with cast iron pots and pans on the things, if you're interested in that kind of thing. I know I like to do that from time to time on my charcoal. I'll use that for reverse searing. I'll put the cast iron pan on the sear side of it, and whatever I'm about to reverse sear, I smoke it real quick, and then I sear it in the pan, and it's good to go. Charcoal and wood, they tend to impart more flavor into whatever you're making. There's tons of different flavors out there for even charcoal now. Charcoal's flavored now. I seen at one of the stores the other day, they had a garlic, paprika, and onion flavored one. I've never used this stuff, but they sell it, so it's got to work for some people, And then as far as your woods go, you got apple wood, cherry wood, hickory, oak. There's all sorts of stuff that all have their own unique flavors that they can put into whatever food you're trying to make on them. They can achieve higher temperatures. It's a lot easier to sear on charcoal or hardwood. It burns at a hotter temp. It gets the grill nice and hot, and you throw a steak on there, it'll sear. It will sear. So there's been times where I've gone to sear something way back in the day out of propane, and it just turned out to be, kind of like an opaque looking cut of meat with barely any seasoning on it afterwards. And with charcoal and wood burners, you can cook more of a variety of stuff. I feel like you can throw brisket on there, pork butts and whole turkeys for Thanksgiving or whatever. I do a turkey every year for Thanksgiving and sometimes even Christmas. And I'll tell you what, there's hardly any of it left at the end of the night. Not saying you can't cook that kind of stuff on a propane grill, but it'd be very difficult. I know way back in the day I used to make little foil pouches just before I got a charcoal grill. I used to make little foil pouches with wood chips in them, and I'd kind of use that to get some smoke flavor in the chicken. It kind of works, but it can be kind of difficult. Kinds of charcoal grills. If you're using wood with them, the smoke can be off-putting to some people, so that's why some people don't like going, being around campfires. They don't like the smell like smoke afterwards, or they don't like inhaling the stuff, or, irritates their eyes and stuff, which is fine. People have different preferences. This is America, and, people think differently. Um, Charcoal grills, they're going to require a little more temperature to maintain cooking temp. Back when I first started on a charcoal grill, um, temperature was right. I walked away for 10 minutes. I come back and, it's 150 degrees less than what it was. So you kind of got to babysit them a little bit and, make sure they kind of maintain their temperature, which that kind of brings me into another point is it requires a certain technique to kind of use these things, which the more you use them, the more you learn and you get used to these kind of things and you kind of remember, and you tend not to make the same mistake more than once. Cleanup can be a little messier and you got to be a little more diligent with it. Kind of stinks to be out there for, an hour or two or whatever cooking and then go enjoy your food and then have to go back outside, after it's all cooled off and get full of ash and grease and stuff like that. And you got to be diligent with it, because if you leave the ash in there too long, it'll actually start to absorb moisture, and that can actually cause your firebox to start to rust. And I found that out the hard way when I was younger too. So those are just pros and cons of charcoal grills. And now we're going to get into propanes, and they got their own. But it's kind of like a yin and yang kind of thing. Whatever charcoal grill is good at, propane grills not so great at, and vice versa. So like with propane grills, it's easier to start and preheat. With a charcoal grill, you got to kind of start the fire the old-fashioned way. You kind of, got to nurse it into a fire and get the coals hot before you put them in the firebox. Propane's easier. You turn the knob, you hit the igniter, and there it is. There's your flame. You don't have to worry about smelling like smoke. That's why some people like these propane grills. They don't got to worry about smoke getting in their eyes or their clothes smelling like smoke or anything like that when they're done. They don't require as much attention either to maintain cooking temps. Like I said, it's turn the knob, you get your desired flame and temp, and very rarely do you have to, adjust the knob in order to, correct it. It's also easier to maintain after cooking. What I usually recommend is while the grates are still hot, just kind of scrape them off, because once that stuff cools off and gets hard, you got to really kind of muscle into it. But yeah, it's really all you got to do. I mean, I do recommend cleaning any grease or anything like that out of the bottom of it too. But it's not as imperative, if you forget to get that kind of stuff out of your propane grill after a couple of days, you're not going to get surface rust in there, because you got ash in there that's absorbing moisture and water and stuff. And all in all, propane's it's more convenient. It's easier. If you're just cooking hot dogs, hamburgers, or chicken breast or something, you don't got to spend 15, 20 minutes trying to start a fire and get your coals hot and get your grill all set up, and you just turn the knobs, fire it up, and wait a couple minutes. Once it's up to temp, throw your stuff on there. Now the cons, they're less versatile. It can be difficult to sear and get a really good sear on stuff. Because propane doesn't burn as hot as charcoal or hardwood. It can be difficult to get, good smoke for, if you really want to try a traditional barbecue on them. But like I said, you can try the little foil pouch trick with wood chips in it or whatever, but, you don't really get a whole lot out of it, and it's just not as good as, charcoal or wood-fired grill. So you're pretty much limited to just grilling or, essentially using the thing as an outdoor oven. Propane doesn't really impart much flavor to it, and well, actually it doesn't impart any. It's, just propane. I mean, it's clean burning gas, which is why some people like it, because of the carbon footprint or whatever, but doesn't really do anything, other than produce heat. Really it. Like I said earlier, it's difficult to make traditional barbecue. Like I said, you can throw a brisket on there or a pork butt, but not going to turn out nearly as good as on a charcoal or wood-fired grill. And then also running out of propane mid-grill really sucks. There's nothing like getting your food on there, your temp is rock solid, and then you walk away, talk to family member or friends, and while you're drinking a beer for 20 minutes, and then you come back and your flame's out and your grill is at 50 degrees. Well, not 50 degrees, 100 degrees or whatever. If you're lucky enough to have a spare tank, switch out the tank, but not everyone's got a spare tank, so that's another thing that kind of stinks. With charcoal or hardwood, if your fire's dying, it's either you feed the thing more fuel or you give it more air. It's pretty simple. So my brother, this is the whole reason why I'm kind of making this video, he brought up a couple grills that he was looking at, and before we get into this, I'm going to just make sure to let you guys know that I'm not affiliated with this store at all or these brands. These are just strictly, for example, what my brother was looking at and what he wanted me to look at and my opinion on them. So this is the first one, about $200. It's got porcelain coated grates, which is great for rust resistance. Anyone who's had uncoated grates before knows that they can rust out pretty quick on you, and it's difficult to get them back into the condition that they should be in. Obviously they got a description here. I'm not going to bore you to death by reading the whole entire thing, but I'm just going to point out that one of the things that you should really take into consideration is the total amount of cooking space. So as you can see, this one's got 565 square inches, and it says it's good for up to 30 burgers. I mean, I don't know what kind of burgers they're eating, but whatever. Obviously, the more cooking space you got, the more food you can make at once. I've been in the position before where I've had a big get-together, and I didn't have enough cooking space on my grill to cook all the food I needed to. I had to cook some of it, wait till that stuff's done, and then cook the other bit. So basically you're cooking twice as long. Not everyone runs into that, but it's just something to keep in mind and look at while you're shopping around for these things. The other one here he was looking at, this one's actually pretty cool. I kind of like this thing, and this got my vote for him. And I mean, he's obviously going to choose whatever he wants to choose anyway. But I suggested this one to him. It's just like an old school barrel style grill. Put your charcoal or your wood or whatever in the bottom of it. You can sear on the thing. You can indirectly cook with it. It's got the room for it. I think, how much room does this thing have? I think this thing's, 850 square inches of cooking capacity on this thing. So it already has, quite a bit of room, and I think this one comes with like an upper rack too. So that way you can put like vegetables or, you know, whatever on there in a foil pouch, like asparagus with some butter and garlic and stuff. Turns out pretty good. Another cool thing is that they sell this additional firebox too for this thing. And essentially what you can do with this firebox is attach it to the side of this bad boy, and it'll turn out like an offset smoker, just like this one. You know, really, you can just outright buy this one for $200, but not everyone wants to jump right into an offset smoker. Which brings me to my next point is, you know, think about what you're going to be doing in the future with these. You know, are you eventually going to want to get into trying to make briskets and stuff like that? You know, get into that whole headache and that learning curve. Or you just, you know, you want just something simple that'll still give you good flavor in your food, you know, good little extra flavor, you know, just stick with, you know, this in its current configuration. Or if you just want, you know, convenience, which there's nothing wrong with, you know, I'll admit it, from time to time I don't feel like firing up my charcoal chimney and waiting for the coals to get hot before dumping them in the thing and then preparing the food, so that way this thing has enough time to come up to temp. Sometimes I just prefer to turn a knob, hit the igniter, and wait a couple minutes for it to get up to temp. You know, it's all about preference. You know, how much effort you want to put into making the food. Like I said, what you plan on doing in the future. You know, if you plan on, you know, wanting to get heavy into barbecuing eventually, you want to learn that kind of thing, you know, maybe something like this could be good for you, because, you know, later on down the line, all you got to do is buy an $80 firebox and bolt it onto this thing, and there you go, you got an offset smoker now. So there's not really a right or wrong way for, you know, when it comes to propane or charcoal. It's all about, you know, what you plan on doing with the thing. The most important part is that you never give up trying to cook on the thing. We've all been there where we've made mistakes on food, and, you know, it didn't turn out how we wanted it to, but, you know, you just got to learn from it. You can't give up on it and throw your hands in the air and be like, ah, well, I'm done. You know, I'll do that just to kind of mess around with my wife, because I know it irritates her. But just learn from it and keep cooking. You know, that's the Midwestern way. You know, be outside, enjoy the weather, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and just do your best to try and make good food and learn what you can. I hope you guys like this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. You know, if there's a couple that maybe you're looking at and, you know, you want some suggestions on it, I'd be happy to answer those questions in the comments too. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you guys later.